So for those who just saw the Renaissance Center episode, there's a little bit more to talk about. Maybe I'll call it something like AutoMinded overthinking it, because there's a few points that still need to be made. And the first one starts with Henry Ford II, because to do the research on the Renaissance Center, it might have just been a couple-minute video, but I got to read a lot of his press releases. And something really cool comes out of this, because the Renaissance Center, well, Henry Ford is in all the pictures, and so if you're Henry Ford, you're also the Ford Motor Company, and that's all out front. But the committee that put together the Renaissance Center was all the businesses of Detroit. I mean, all the big guys. So it wasn't just Ford, it was also their competitors. That means divisions of AMC, Chrysler, and General Motors all had resources and especially money in this project. So when Henry Ford would be speaking for the building, would be speaking for the committee, he made sure not to talk about Ford Motor Company in any of his public speeches. In fact, he would usually acknowledge some of its competitors, and that means that's somebody who actually really understood the optics, because if you put all this money into some place and somebody else gets credit, it just doesn't look good. And so Henry Ford II, you could tell, really understood the optics and was really a class act. The second thing to recognize is that, well, the Renaissance Center never really quite achieved what it was supposed to. And that's not really the fault of Henry Ford II. It's not really the fault of the architect John Portman or really just anybody in the committee. It's just really more of a fault of its time, because in the late 60s and early 70s, the suburbs were where the in-place were to be. Everybody just really wanted that white picket fence, a yard, and just felt safer and more secure. Getting back into downtown, that was going to be a big stretch for a lot of people. And so what the Renaissance Center really kind of promoted itself as is a city within a city. And that's what people like. They wanted that security bubble that they got out in the suburbs. And it really was something you needed in Detroit at the time, because Detroit was a particularly hard city. And where they put the Renaissance Center also was right at the end of a freeway. And so you had an express ride right into your garage. You could go to your office, you could eat, you could work, you could shop, you could take an express ride right back out to the suburbs. And so as much as it's supposed to revitalize downtown, you didn't spend much time in downtown. But if you did it some sort of opposite way and opened it up a lot more, well, you wouldn't have that certain safety bubble that the suburbs really required. And that meant the Renaissance Center didn't work for a very long time, but when General Motors did buy it in the 90s, Detroit had been improving for decades and kept improving, and General Motors recognized that they needed to open it up more, and they did a terrific job. If you ever look at the Winter Garden, it actually takes advantage of the fact that they're on the Detroit River, and everything about it showed that they were making progress on the Renaissance Center. Still not there yet. Still a little bit confusing to get around the place, but it's a heck of a lot more welcoming than it was before. So it never was quite there, but it's been working towards getting the goal right. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and that's why you hear a lot about the next step being taking out some of the buildings. Well, it's trying to open it up, and it's just a closed space. And that's all that's on my mind.